Hello, fellow movie crusaders, and welcome to another episode of Sean's Movie Crusades. My name's Sean Wasserkrug, and today we are doing a spoiler review of the Shining sequel, Doctor Sleep. With me today is my fellow movie crusaders, Brian Michaels and Kirk Kowakowski. Brian, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Excited to talk about this movie.
Yes, I'm very excited to talk about it as well. Kirk, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. This is a movie, or I guess a franchise now that's near and dear to my heart. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, we all. I know this is about a week or so after this movie came out, but I was under the weather last week, so I didn't get to see it when it came out. Brian didn't get to see it till about earlier this week, and Kirk and I both saw it in the last 2 days. If you guys want to check the non-spoiler review, feel free to look for it here on the channel, as it was posted a couple days ago. I'm going to try my best not to cough through this entire thing. But yeah, we all three saw this movie within the last few days, and we all basically came together and said, we need to actually talk about this thing without worrying about spoiling. Thus why we're here. So Doctor Sleep. Basically, it's the sequel or franchise, as Kirk calls it, to The Shining. Because it potentially can turn into a franchise now. It really can, the way it ended. But yeah, I guess let's start. Thoughts on The Shining. I don't think the channel knows my thoughts on The Shining, so I'm gonna go last on it personally. Not that. Actually, you know what? No, Kirk, you're more beloved about it, so we're gonna have you go last.
Okay.
But yeah, for me personally, I watched The Shining, I think for the first time from beginning to end earlier this year. I needed to watch it for trivia purposes. I had seen a lot of The Shining throughout the course of my life because obviously a lot of very iconic moments and scenes. And then I obviously have seen all the spoofs from The Simpsons and however many spoofs, because there's a lot of them when it comes to The Shining. So I watched it for the very first time earlier this year, and I just thought it was okay. I wasn't a huge fan of it. Maybe it's just because I'm not a huge Kubrick fan. But the performances, at least for Jack, was good. Kirk's gonna defend her like crazy, but I thought Shelley Duvall was hot garbage in that movie. She was utterly horrific, and I get it. She was tortured. I know, Kirk. Because as soon as I was watching the movie, I was like, Kirk, Shelley Duvall's performance is god awful. He's like, do you know what happened to her in that movie? He's like, I don't care. That doesn't make you a shitty actress. But yeah, I thought the movie was okay. I didn't really love it. But yeah, I definitely, once we saw the sequel was coming out and I saw the cast for the sequel, I was actually excited for this. And the one thing that this movie did do for me is it made me want to go back and rewatch The Shining again. So if Doctor Sleep does anything, making you go back and rewatch The Shining is definitely a good thing. Brian, what are your thoughts on The Shining?
I don't remember when I first saw The Shining. I was too young, really, when it came out in 1980. But I probably saw it somewhere in my late teens. I like The Shining. I like it a lot. I think the performances are really good. Of course, Jack is he's just like always playing an exaggerated form of Jack, but he's perfect for the role. Shelley Duvall, I wouldn't call it a bad performance. It's definitely almost borders on caricature, but I think it's the character. I mean, not every character needs to be a Hollywood leading lady kind of person, and I thought she was fine.
What the book was supposed to be?
See, now I have not read the book, so I'm not coming into this with any kind of. I'm not affected by the book at all for either one of these stories. But I like The Shining. I'm not in love. Some people have praised like the greatest horror movie, and I don't think it's like one of the best all time. I mean, it's up there in the conversation for me. But like you, I'm not a big Kubrick fan, and so a lot of it more has to do with some of his style and pacing and things like that. But I like the movie a lot.
All right. And yeah, I'm sorry. I can't help but make fun of her when she's walking around, when she's running up the stairs with the knife. Like, what made you possess to think that this is a good acting choice? It's like you're more inclined to stab yourself with it. But Kirk, I know you're an actual Shining fan. So that's why I wanted to do last, so that way we can get the two people who shit on it. Not even shit on it, but just don't love it as much. So Kirk, what are your thoughts on The Shining?
Yeah, I'm the exact opposite of you. I think I was about 5 years old when I first saw this movie. I had parents who worked overnight and older siblings who didn't care about my psychological well-being. So
This
I was
explains so much.
yeah, exactly. I was exposed to this movie at a very young age. I mean, it seated very deep in me, psychologically and mentally, and had a real impact that way. But also, I mean, I came to love it. It became like kind of a thing for my family. It was a family film, believe it or not, and at least among me and my siblings. And it just really, I mean, of course, when I was younger, I just knew it was scary, and I didn't really appreciate all the filmmaking techniques that went into it, and the work that went into it. And as I grew up, I mean, I kind of learned to appreciate it on different levels that way. I mean, obviously Jack Nicholson. Because this movie is why I've been a Jack Nicholson fan my whole life. He's one of my favorite actors. And yeah, Shelley Duvall's goofy, but again, I mean, I think she's supposed to be like that exaggerated haunted house horror movie character. But yeah, just the way it's shot, the cinematography, the music, the atmosphere it creates, everything about this movie is so great. Yeah, so I do think it's one of the greatest horror films of all time. That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah. I mean, like for me, this got a special place for your heart because it's probably the first horror movie you ever saw.
Absolutely,
yeah. Would you say that? Yeah, I think all of us who've had at least older siblings have been forced to watch it before. Mine was Poltergeist. Yeah, I was forced to watch a tree try to eat a boy and a clown doll try to kill him, which is probably the reason why when it came out, I was terrified of clowns. Brian, do you have a horror movie that you were forced to watch when you were way too young?
No, I'm the youngest of three kids. My siblings are 2 years older than me and 4 years older than me, but they never really forced anything on me. They weren't big movie people or anything like that. Then again, in my early years growing up, there wasn't really much in the way of like home video kind of things because I'm old. But I think really I was probably got myself more into horror kind of when those two went off to like college and stuff, and I was home alone when I started just like renting movies like daily at the video store, and that's when I got really into a lot of horror movies then.
Gotcha. So what for like since Kirk and I both said it, what was the first horror movie that left an impact on you?
The first one that left an impact on me, the first one that kind of that really kind of creeped me out that I remember seeing is actually I think PG-13 time was called The Gate. And it's kind of cheesy. If you look back on it now, it's not very well done. But I just remember being really creeped out by that because it's probably one of the ones I saw when I was younger. As far as one that left a real impact on me, horror doesn't really do that to me much. But if I had to pick one, it might even be The Shining, just because it was one of the ones that wasn't so much about murder and killings and blood. It was more about atmospheric and things like that.
All right. So Brian's lived a very, very healthy lifestyle, while Kirk and I were mentally tortured.
The early years, yes.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. That explains a lot. Why Kirk and I are the way we are, and Brian's the way he is. Apparently, in Ron Howard's household, children don't be watch bad movies. But yeah. So yeah. I gotta say, this is probably one of the longest spans of time between an original and a sequel. Would you say? I mean, we're almost like 40 years.
It's up there. I mean, you get in some stuff like Last Picture Show and things like that. There's some long spans, but it's up there.
This is 39 years? 39 years since the first one, Shining, Doctor Sleep. And this book, when did the book come out? Was the book like early 2000? Because I know 9/11 was a part of the book, but it's not obviously a part of this movie. So
I'm looking that up.
Thousands range.
I want to say the book came out like 2011 or no, it's later than that even.
It's pushing 10 years. I'm seeing. I'm looking that up. No, I meant to look that up before when that came out.
Yeah, because I remember hearing that Abra really had a strong connection to 9/11 in the book, which
came out in 2013.
I'm glad we did not touch that in the movie. That did not need to happen. Instead, they have a whole different other sequence, which I thought did really, really well. So I guess general thoughts real quick before we really dig deep into this. Brian, what were your general thoughts of Dr. Sleep before we really dive in? Just basic.
I went into it not really knowing what to expect, like how much it would tie to The Shining, how much I would enjoy it. I ended up really, really liking the movie. I mean, from the very beginning, it kind of grabbed me, and then when certain characters come on screen, I really started to love the movie. Um, I I actually think that I enjoyed the parts that weren't as closely tied to the original Shining. I think I liked the new stuff better, and when the more it kind of tied itself to the Shining, I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy it, but those are the parts that kind of interested me the least. But overall, I love the movie, the performances. The last act, we'll get to that, but I think that again, because of the ties to the Shine, didn't impress me as much. But just overall, I really liked the movie, and it's like already my top 5 of the year.
All right, Kirk, what were your thoughts? Because you're the
Um,
one that actually wanted to do this spoiler review. You were like,
Yeah.
Sean, we need to do this spoiler review.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought when I heard they were making this movie, I was really curious how they were going to do it because I mean, obviously the book, Stephen King wrote the book as a sequel to the original novel, and the original novel and the original movie are famously very different. A lot of changes made. So I was curious to see how they would walk that line. Was it going to be a sequel to the movie? Was it going to be a sequel to the book? And they walked that line very well of kind of paying honor to both the movie and the book, and kind of finding a way to take two stories that were very different and ended very differently, and bringing them back into folding them back into one narrative. So I think it was a great, like I said, they did a great job of continuing that story and doing honor to that story and just continuing it. I mean, it's like you said, it's been 40 years. It's a hard thing to keep that going, and I think they did a really good job. Like Brian, I think there were a few things that got a little too wonky at the end. We'll talk about which would really be my only complaint. Otherwise, I was very happy with it.
All right, and obviously you guys all saw my non-spoiler review if you guys have watched, so I'm not going to waste your time by explaining what I thought of the movie because you literally have a whole video that you can watch on my thoughts on it. So let's go ahead and kind of dig into it. The way we kind of been doing these spoiler reviews lately is we kind of been going very character-based first and then starting to go to scenes and acts later. So let's go ahead and start with the man of the hour, Danny Torrance, Ewan McGregor. Brian, thoughts on Ewan's performance?
Ewan always does a good job for me, even in bad movies. I mean, he's one of the few actors that could actually not look like an idiot in Star Wars prequels. We'll get to that in another video. But I think Ewan McGregor can really do almost anything. I thought he was very good in this movie. I thought he portrayed everything very good from the despair early on to later on being a little more gung-ho trying to stop things, and then more menacing towards the end when he started to get possessed by the Overlook and everything. So I thought his performance was very well. I thought his struggles with everything from even just the alcoholism scene when he's like almost drinking, things like that, I thought he portrayed that very well.
Kirk,
I do think like in a lot of his films, I do think his American accent is a little much. He's trying a little bit too hard, but I always forgive him for that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that was kind of one of the same thing with Jay and I. We were discussing Jojo Rabbit. Like when he went to his negatives, he was like, "Oh, Rebel Wilson and the kid who played Yorgi." I was like, their accent fell apart. It's just like, look, I mean, if it's a period,
it's a nitpick. Otherwise, great performance.
Come on, like I'm not gonna attack Ewan McGregor because his dialect coach didn't make him American beautiful. Like it never was a point where he was like, it's not like he was talking normal and then he went Cockney and you're like, what the fuck? But
right, it's nothing like that. It always just sounds it almost just sounds a little bit unnatural. It sounds like somebody's trying to do an American accent, But maybe that's just because we know his voice so well. So
kind of like a Benedict Cumberbatch has to do English. He's just like real slow speaking and stuff like that. But yeah, Kirk, what were your thoughts on Ewan's performance?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there was every once in a while, he'd kick in with this New England accent, and I'm like, okay, that's all right. It's a little subtle, but it's all right. But yeah, otherwise he did great. I think he really captured. I bought him as Jack Torrance's son, and as the guy who went through all that, and someone who's personally experienced a lot of alcohol and addiction in their family. I mean, he really nailed that, and I think I'm sure he went back and studied. I'm sure he read the original book and watched the original movie and really took a lot from that and really based his performance off of what it would be to be that guy's kid. Take what he knew of him, and bring that into his adulthood. So yeah, he really brought that home for me. And I mean, I think it was a really emotionally strong performance. He really impacted me personally with just those moments of, like Brian said, the despair, and then overcoming that and just struggling through everything he was trying to do and everything he was trying to accomplish. So yeah, I really enjoyed his performance in the movie.
Was there any scenes from either one of you that really stood out for him? Like, I know I said we were going to talk about scenes later, but if we're talking about the physical actor and scenes that they did, I mean, are there any? I know you guys are like describing it, but you guys are being a little vague on like certain parts. So I mean, if there's scenes that you guys were like, I love this scene.
Well,
like,
as far as
yeah, go ahead.
For his acting performance, I think one of the ones that I think it was just a short thing was after forget the character name, Cliff Curtis's character had died during that whole thing, and he had that bottle, and he was almost going to drink again. Just that subtle scene where he's like fighting, and he finally smashes it. I thought just a small scene that he performed very well. Really impressed me.
For me,
sorry. I mean, what I like is it was grief, but it was also him being terrified because he couldn't get a hold of Abra, and he was trying to get a hold of Tony, which I was like, are they actually gonna make him start going, hell no? It's just like, don't do that. And I thought that was his thing, whereas like he was gonna drink because that was his only way to connect to Tony. And I love that he literally got it on the lips and was about ready to go, and then just threw it down. Like, such a great scene with him. Kirk, was there a particular scene or scenes that stuck out to you with him?
For me, it was the scene where he got his 8-year chip at the AA meeting, and he gave the speech.
Oh, the speech about his dad.
Yeah,
I was going to bring that one up, if you guys. That's why I was like, talk about some scenes, guys. I don't want to be the only one talking about it.
Yeah, that for me, and again, that really brought it home for me. That tied everything together for a lot of different reasons. I mean, really, because if I'm a fan of Stephen King. I'm a fan of the original book, and I'm sure you guys know that one of the main reasons Stephen King hates the original movie so much is that what Kubrick did is he took out the descent of Jack Torrance, where really the original novel was written as almost a metaphor for alcoholism and addiction. And I feel like that speech, and I've been reading Stephen King on Twitter coming up, building up this movie. He's really hyping this movie up. He really liked this movie. So I was like, oh, they must have done some stuff to kind of, satisfy the way he wanted the story told. And I think that scene does this. This scene really brings that idea back of Jack Torrance as somebody who was tormented, who wasn't just, purely evil, and who was a guy who wanted to do better and just couldn't. And I think him telling that story, I think it redeemed a lot about the old movie, and it redeemed a lot about that character. And like I said, for me personally, with my family history, I went and saw my siblings who I told you I watched this movie with when I was a kid. I went and saw this with my older sisters, and I had my sister there who's been sober for over 10 years now, and I was thinking about her, and I was thinking about my mom and everything she went through and everything she struggled with. So I mean that hit me home for me really really hard. And when he says this is for Jack Torrance, I mean I kind of got choked up just because you don't look at that character that way.
You think of him as like this villain.
Yeah, you think as a monster.
He's not.
Yeah,
he's somebody's father.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that the reason that scene works so well is because of Ewan's performance and how he really brought that home. That was my dad. This guy that everybody thinks is a monster, I think is a monster, is really my dad. He tried. He did his best, and you seeing that as his motivation was really powerful for me.
Yeah, that's what I loved about that scene too, because well, yes, he gives Jack a redemption in a sense that the book did, but the movie did not do.
Yeah,
that's the other thing too, is that he was, how old was Danny during that? Was he like 5
or 6? I think. Yeah.
Through the movie of Shining, he doesn't really see Jack be the evil kind of person until the very, very end. And even then, he's confused. But like there's that moment with him and Jack on the bed.
Yeah.
And it's a loving father and son moment. Yes, for us, it's kind of creepy because we've already seen Jack kind of start to turn. But for Danny doesn't see that. Danny sees his dad. He doesn't see the same things that Wendy saw. that we were building up throughout the film. So it's like for him, he's not this horrible evil person that Wendy was. Now, if Wendy had been alive and had seen that speech, she probably would have been like, "No."
Yeah.
But it's like he doesn't see Jack as this evil person, and then as he has grown older, he knows what the house did, and so he doesn't see Jack as this evil drunk that the movie made him portrayed to be even before the house or before the hotel took him. He saw him just as his dad, and he forgives his dad for what he did, even for killing his friend, Dick Halloran, because it wasn't him, it was the house, which we as viewers, Jack was already a shady fucker before the hotel took him over. So, I mean, like all we knew about Jack before he went to the Overlook is that he'd hurt Danny at some point and he had quit drinking. And even driving up to the hotel, like he looked like he was just always on the verge of snapping. So we never really got to see Jack outside of that one scene with them on the bed. We never got to see Jack in a sweet, lovable father kind of way. So to see Danny after all these years kind of put Jack on that pedestal in a sense really says a lot about the character and the way Ewan played it. Like you said, Kirk, it made you emotional. I thought it was a great scene. And then it even speaks even more levels to later in the film when he actually gets to talk to Jack. Which there's a plus and a negative to that scene, and we'll get to that scene in particular later. But just that scene where he finally gets to talk to Jack, or the perception of Jack, that was a fantastic scene. Like I said, I think between that scene, the scene after Billy's death, that Brian brought up, and of course the 8-year chip were the three scenes that I think really epitomize Ewan McGregor.
The one other one I forgot that I wanted to mention was when Billy, I was like to say Cliff Curtis's character Billy, first meets him and basically takes him in and pays for his first couple of months or weeks rent to the apartment. That he just has this feeling of like, well, why are you helping me? Why are you pulling me out of this gutter? And I thought he played that scene very well as well.
And honestly, and he's like, what? Well, I kind of see things, people. Yeah, I know what you mean. And even when he took kind of ownership of the Dr. Sleep thing, like at first he was just like, no. And then he's
in there comforting him and helping him.
Yeah, and he embraced it, and he made that as like, I'm going to be the gatekeeper that's going to help people pass. Which I don't know about you. If I was a doctor in that hospital, I'd be like, Danny, what are you doing? These people, they all
security cameras catch you going in the room and then they're dead. So
that's all I kept thinking during the movie. Is like, is this eventually going to come back to bite him in the ass? Or Danny, your success rate for surviving victims is 0%.
Well, it's a hospice; they're all gonna die.
I know, but it's just weird. It's like, are you going in and you suffocating them? Are you doing something? Are you the new Dr. Kevorkian? But it's like I thought Ewan McGregor did a fantastic job in this film. It's and Brian, like you, I love Ewan McGregor as a performer. Yes, I've seen him in very bad films, but it was never him.
He's always good, even in bad films.
He's always good. And so when I saw that he had got cast for this, I was like, all right, I wasn't interested in this film. Now you got me interested in this film. He casted Ewan in this role, and I thought he did a great job. I loved basically his character arc through the whole story. You had a guy who was basically a drug alcoholic. Like, I love that moment at the very beginning too, where we kind of see that Danny's not a bad guy, where he steals the woman's money and he sees the child. And he decides to, pick up the child, give it some food, put it on the bed, and he goes to take the money. And Dick shows up. He's like, "Really, you're gonna do this?" And he's like, I was like, he wasn't fully gone yet. Like, he had some good qualities, but he still was like, "Oh, I'm still gonna take her money because she probably took mine," kind of thing. And then we see him kind of, I guess, for that moment was him hitting rock bottom in a sense, because then he went to, I can't remember what the name of the town is. And then he meets Billy. But I mean, we see a guy who's literally let this control his life, in a sense. And those demons that are hidden in the boxes really made his life a living hell. And then him just needing one person to just give him a chance, and him just fully take it. And then obviously another situation coming in with Abra, saying, you need to help, and him being scared and turning away, and then him taking that moment going, no, I need to embrace this and become I don't think it was necessarily a sense of like, I need to become the hero that I need to become. It's just more like, I need to help. And then when Abra gets taken, now I need to become the hero that I'm destined to be. I need to use these powers for what they were intended to and not shy away. And I think Ewan did a fantastic job of taking this character from the beginning of the film and growing with it as it goes to the inevitable end that we get to the end of the film. I thought Ewan did a fantastic job. Now for the big performance. And I know Brian cannot wait to dig into this. This is probably what we're going to talk the most about. Rebecca Ferguson, Rose the Hat. I know Brian's waiting, so I'm going to go to Kirk first. Thoughts on Rose the Hat?
She was great. She was great. She really made you hate her. And she really played that really seductive, almost. And I the whole group. The thing I loved about the whole group is that they were presented as a family and a unit, and it's almost like, other than when they weren't brutally murdering people, they were just like normal people.
They gypsies.
Yeah,
kind of
and they're very. They took care of each other. They're concerned about each other. It seemed like they got some good. They watch out for each other. They had some good qualities almost. They weren't there was nothing bad about them, other than the fact that they're these vampires who murder people. And she really personified that whole group perfectly. And just her scenes, dealing with the little girl at the beginning, and then dealing with the I forget, the snake bite girl. Just the way she would, yeah, and just her interactions, even with Abra, and just trying to always just trying to keep that one up on everybody, kind of just lure them in. She did that great, and she was a very, very charismatic villain, and I really enjoyed her performance as well.
All right, Brian, I'm letting you go.
That sucked. She was no. I think Kirk said it best with the word charismatic. From the minute you saw her on screen, the first time she turned around, there was just something about her. She has had this command of the scene just in her face, and the way she acts through the whole movie, she would just do the slightest movements, and it just kind of it really grabbed on. She just had that character down. I thought that she was the best performance in the movie. I think, honestly, if I were to give Oscar nominations right now, she'd definitely be up there, possibly even on top for me. Actually, I thought she did a great job. Most people think of a horror movie like this as something to get Academy Award nominations, but in terms of her acting, I thought she portrayed the character perfectly. Like Kirk was saying, that she was kind of the head of this family, and he said he really made you hate her. I didn't. I liked her. Early on, yes, she's killing people and stuff, and as they went on, it got worse and worse. But really, she had this charisma, which just made you just you fell under her spell, kind of, so to speak. And I just thought she did a phenomenal job, and it was a unique character she created. And the whole gypsy vampires, the True Knots, I think they're called.
Yeah, in the book they're called the True Knot. I don't think they ever get called the True Knot.
I thought
they said it once, during that when they were initiating Snakebite Andy, they said it.
I thought that the whole family dynamic they created, I loved that, and it was I really enjoyed that. Was probably one of my favorite parts of the story, is watching this family of these True Knots. And I suppose we'll get into some of the other actors later, but yeah, Rebecca Ferguson was my favorite performance of the movie.
And yeah, and I agree. I love a lot of the performances in this film, but Rebecca Ferguson's performance as Rose the Hat was fantastic. And Brian, I'm inclined to agree with you on definitely. I don't think this movie's going to get recognized, which sucks. But I think her performance deserves recognition. I'm not going to say she should win, but I do think that her performance is up to those levels of everyone talks about Heath Ledger's Joker. But kind of makes you wonder, how would Heath Ledger's Joker have been if he got as much screen time as she did? She took complete control of every scene she was in. She chewed the scenery up in a phenomenal way. She had so much fun with this role, you could tell. And I said, from the first moment when she's sitting on the rock singing to the inevitable, end of her character in the film, Rebecca Ferguson, there was never a scene in that movie where I was like, she could have done that better. Everything she did, she knocked out of the park. And that's the sort of thing too. Is like I said, Kirk said it makes you want to hate her. Brian was like, I didn't hate her. I loved her, kind of a thing. And that's the thing too. Is yes, they're psychic vampires, but how are they any different than people who hunt deer for food, for your family? Yes, they're looked at negatively because they're killing humans, but I mean, how are they as evil as vampires, normal vampires? Like, we watch True Blood or any kind of vampire show, we're supposed to like those characters. They still kill and eat people. The problem is with this one is they're killing kids.
Yeah, they did a great job of expressing that viewpoint, their point of view, where they're so far above humanity that they're really not doing anything wrong.
Yeah, to them,
it's really not that bad.
To them, it's no different than them killing a deer, skinning it in a sense, and then eating it to survive. They're not killing just to kill. And then if it was someone that they felt was beneficial to them, they didn't kill them. They allowed them to join, like they did with Snakebite Andy. So it's like that was the kind of the great thing about that. I always said this: the best thing about a villain is when you can learn to understand the villain and understand their choices and like them. That's why we love Thanos. That's why we love Killmonger. In a sense, because we understand where they're coming from, and while we don't agree with it, we get where they're coming from, and we understand it. We're like, I get where you're coming from. And with her, she's just a woman who is taking care of her family, in a sense. Yes, she's got that charisma. She's got that cockiness because she's been doing it for so long that she thinks that everything is easy as hell for her. And then when she finally runs into a brick wall, in a sense, with Abra, you finally start to see the cracks because she's not used to this.
Yeah, I thought she played that very well, that twist and the cockiness, because I remember those moments where she's inside the mine, like in the file cabinets and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And she walks in and she's like, ooh, I'm up against something strong here. She's like, I got a challenge now.
When she gets caught.
Yeah.
Terrified.
Oh, yeah, when her hand is caught in there.
And she is terrified at that moment.
She's never come up against that, yeah.
Exactly. That's the first time we see Rose not confident anymore, and it becomes a vendetta. And just like when they start killing off the True Knot, her reactions, she's not looking at them as like, okay, whatever. No, it's like losing children.
Yeah.
And it becomes a revenge vendetta thing. It's not about food anymore. It's about revenge. And I thought Rebecca Ferguson did a fantastic job of that. And like I said, with her character, we're supposed to hate her, but in essence, we end up loving her character because of how she performed it, how she did her scenes, and it added so many layers to the Rose the Hat character. And what I loved is that she got just about as much screen time as Ewan and Abra did. Yeah. She was a villain, but she was straight up just a normal character in the movie. And like I said, Brian, I agree. Like, her performance deserves to get recognition. And I loved. There's so many just fantastic scenes. And honestly, if you take the one scene that we're gonna talk about out, you probably don't think of her as that evil. Yeah. Just because she was really enjoying that scene. But I mean, you take that out. I mean, she's really not that evil in a sense. But knowing that that's what they do,
which is why that scene was so necessary.
It was 100% necessary. Yeah. But that's the beauty of her performance, is that even like someone like Brian and myself, we were caught in her trance of loving her character and loving what she did. And then the True Knot, because the True Knot, for the most part, a lot of them are very just kind of weird, kind of redneck in a sense. Where it's like, we wouldn't hang out with them. But there's like, oh, well, there's Rose. Rose is pretty awesome. I would hang out with Rose, and I would hang out with Crow Daddy. And probably Snakebite Andy.
Since we're probably not going to go character by character, I just want to talk about that family for a moment.
We're going to talk about those two. We're going to talk about those two.
Okay.
We're probably not going to talk about, what was it, Nick the Chunk or something like that? Or
I don't even know most of their names, yeah.
Yeah, but no, Snakebite Andy and Crow Daddy we'll talk about. But yeah, I think Rebecca Ferguson, that was one of my favorite performances of the year, hands down. And I love that even when she knew, near the end of the film, when she knew she was up against something, she stayed strong. She didn't back down. She wasn't scared because she took all the canisters. She's like, I'm going for blood. And even though she's like, oh, Danny is super strong as well. No, I'm not scared anymore. I'm coming for everyone. And it's just like, I can keep talking about her performance forever, but we got to move on. Let's go to Abra, played by Kyliegh Curran. I think this was her. She did like one other thing before this, but it wasn't. I don't know if it was an indie or a TV movie or something. So this was like her first like real kind of hello world. This is me kind of performance. Brian, what did you think of Kyliegh Curran as Abra?
I thought she did fine. I wasn't blown away by her. Like, you know, she didn't like really catch me as like, you know, oh, wow, this great new young performer. But I thought she served the role just fine. I didn't think that she came across as like, you know, some child actors can come across a little bit amateurish, but she felt like she really inhabited the character. So that's really all I had feelings on her.
Short and sweet. Kirk.
Yeah.
See, I mean, I was very impressed by her. I mean, she grabbed me as soon as she came on the screen. And I really was enjoying her performance. A lot of roles like this, when you put a kid that age in a role like this, where they're playing this big, powerful person who can, you know, stand up to the adults and kind of like hold their own. You know, it can get real like Home Alone-y real quick. You know what I mean? Like the peckish attitude and everything, and the catchphrases, whatever. But she really played it real. And you know, she was scared. But she was also like confident, and she wasn't taking any crap. And she was angry. I loved her anger. I loved how, you know, she wanted these people to suffer, and, you know, just because of what she saw happen to the baseball boy, she wanted these. She knew what these people were and knew what happened to happen to them, and she portrayed that part of the character so well. And I was really stuck on her. I really want to see what she does next.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with Kirk on that. I remember when it first started, I was like, I don't know how this performance is gonna go with her. Because yes, the overconfident, cocky child actor usually comes off cringy for the most part. But I think she did a great job with it. When she was snarky and confident and stuff like that, it didn't come off annoying or like, wow, I really want this kid to kind of just get knocked back a step. With her, like, she commanded the screen very well. She worked beautifully with Ewan in their scenes together. When she had her scenes with Rose, they worked really well together. I really enjoyed her performance overall. And like Kirk said, like, I love that her character, instead of being, like, in the moment she was, but instead of being scared of what she was seeing, literally, like, the next day, she was like, they need to pay. They're going to pay. I'm going to basically go to some town that I don't know, to some man I don't know, because I know he can help me, and I need him to help me do this. And if he doesn't help me, I'm just going to do it on my own. Like, to be at that kind of age, because I don't know if they ever said how old she was. Like, she was probably like, what, 14?
I think they said 13. I think 13. I heard 13.
Yeah, because we first see her, she's 5 years old in 2011.
And it jumps like 8 years later. That's right. And I love that her determination as a you know, at that age.
Yeah.
She wanted to step up and be the hero, where Danny wasn't. And, you know, maybe if Danny was brought up without what happened in The Shining, maybe Danny could have been that way too, in a sense. But that was someone who embraced their power. The whole, like, with great power comes great responsibility thing. She knew she had the power to do something about it. And instead of just wasting it away like Danny was, she was like, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to stop these people because I don't want what happened to, what was his name? Tremblay's character. It was like something, Bradley Trevor? Is that what it was? I don't want what happened to, you know, Bradley Trevor to happen to somebody else. And for her to stand up and do that, I thought was great. And I extended her performance, I thought was really solid. And I love that. I love that one moment where she's in the Overlook and what's the name of the old lady ghost? Miss something.
I'm not sure.
I don't know, but the old lady ghost, when she starts to like come out, she's like, "Try it."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, well, you have no reason to be scared of these people. Like, you can take them. Yeah.
Stephen King writes these child characters like that very well. That's some of the best characters he writes, and that translated very well to this movie. And she personified that character very well.
Yeah. To be clear, I didn't have any negative feelings towards her performance at all. I thought she did a fine job. I didn't have any complaints about it at all. And actually, one of the things I really liked about her character was her relationship with her parents. Like, for instance, like even at the end with her mom, when she's talking to her, mom knows that she has this some kind of, I don't know how much she knows, but this psychic connection kind of thing. And she's talking about, you know, dad's fine, they're all fine, you know, and she's like, good, I'm glad to hear. And I just love that relationship with her and her mom.
Yeah, I guess in the book, the grandma Momo is a very big part of the film, and they are a very big part of the book, and they didn't bring her in.
Oh, okay.
So I that's why I think why they kept kind of bringing her up is because they were. I guess in the book, because like Kirk, did you read the book?
Yeah, it's been a while though.
Yeah, I guess like
I don't know if it came out.
book, she's the one that like kind of pushes Abra to like continue with her powers. And I think they go to her in the book, and that's how Danny kind of gets stronger before they go to the Overlook, or at least where the Overlook is located in the book, because in the Shining, Overlook burns down. Yeah. But the Momo, I guess, is supposed to be an actual big character, kind of like the turtle in It that we never got. But yeah, that's the thing too. Is like even with the mother, you know, like they realize that she's special, but they don't want to embrace her being special. But when something happens, they need like when she went to her going, "Is Momo going to be okay?" Like, why would you ask a child that unless you knew that they had like an inkling of that kind of thing? I do kind of wish her parents had a little bit more of a bigger role in a sense. I don't want them to overtake the scene or the movie or anything, but it just seemed like the parents were just kind of nothing. And I guess they do have bigger parts in the actual film themselves. But
I will say I enjoyed the scene with her dad when Ewan and Cliff show up at her house. He's like, "What, you guys traveling across the country to meet them?" Yeah.
Yeah. I do. And that's the thing. That's one of the things where it's like, I knew this scene was coming because it was in the trailers, but they changed it the way it was in the trailers, and I kind of wish they would have kept the trailers.
So I don't remember the trailers. When I was in the movie, I remember almost nothing about it.
There's a shot of her standing by her dad and doing this, and him looking horrified. And I would have liked that better than her like grabbing him on the truck and just like pulling him off. I would have much liked her to just do that, because I thought, at least for the actor of the father, that would have been a lot better.
It's closer to Professor X to me, just
Well, no, she does it to him. Like she goes and touches his head.
Oh, she touches his head. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, like if you go back and watch the trailer, she's like next to him doing this.
See, I don't remember that.
He looks like he's watching a horrified movie. In his eyes. Like I was just like, I was like, that's where that scene was. Damn, we're not gonna get that. 'Cause I actually liked that visual in the trailer, but. Yeah, I thought I agree with you, Kirk. I can't wait to see what she does next. That's the great thing that's been going on right now. Like a little sidebar to Dr. Sleep. Through the 90s, early 2000s, there have not really been any good child actors. It's been just a lot of crappy, mediocre actors, and then eventually they would grow up and become good actors. This last decade, holy crap, there have been so many fantastic child actors. Between the Stranger Things kids, the It kids, Kyliegh Curran in this one, Noah Jupe, who was in Ford Ferrari, Quiet Place. He was just in. He just did Honey Boy. Jacob Tremblay. There's so many fantastic little actors and actresses now that are going to grow up to be fantastic, and it's just like I don't know where this turn happened, where we had like shitty child actors who couldn't do anything to holy crap, these kids are amazing. And
how many can make that transition though?
Yeah. I mean, and not go like Amanda Bynes or the Coreys. But yeah, it's just it's amazing now, because you got to the point where it's like whenever you would watch a movie and a child actor would come on and you knew they were gonna have a bigger part, you're like, oh crap. Now it's like, all right, let's see what you got. Because I'm more open to a child actor being on screen and knowing that they have a bigger part now, because so many of these kids are coming up and are doing great jobs. And I'm like I said, I can't wait to see what she does next.
Apparently, it's a TV show about a haunted hotel. We'll see.
Is that what she's got next?
Called Sulphur Springs, yes.
Speaking of, since you brought that up, Brian, because I wanted to bring him up before we went to the cast, but I forgot, and since you brought it up, I'm going to do it. Director Michael Flanagan.
Yes.
I loved him in this, or not him, and I loved his direction of this. Anyone who knows Michael Flanagan, he did The Haunting of Hill House. Hands down, one of my favorite series of last year. He also did Hush. He also did, I think, Gerald's Game.
That was what hooked me, is because he had a filmography of basically PG-13 horror films, which kind of always throw away Oculus and Ouija and I think Before You Wake or something like that.
Ouija 1 or Ouija 2?
Ouija 2, I think it was.
Yeah, which was the good one.
But he was still doing all this, PG-13 horror movies, and I was like, okay, whatever. Haunted Hill House, I actually still have not watched. Everyone has told me it's wonderful, but at the time it came out, like last Halloween or whatever it was, I was just had too much other stuff going on, and I never got back and watched it. But Gerald's Game,
it was like last summer, actually.
Was it? I think I almost went and watched it last Halloween. Is what it was.
Kirk, have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it either.
Oh my god!
Gerald's Game, I thought, was one of the best Stephen King adaptations. That movie I thought was very well done. I mean, it's basically a cast of, well, one person technically, but up to 3 people maybe. But I thought it was just so well directed that I saw he was directing this. I'm like, okay, I'm interested. I think he could pull it off, and he certainly did a phenomenal job. He's
one of those directors that likes to use a lot of the same people. Like Gerald's Game has Carla, was it Gugino? I don't know how I can never say her last
Gugino.
name. She's in Haunted of Hill House. The main female actress in Hush, she's in Haunted of Hill House. The little girl that opens this movie, she was in Haunted of Hill House. The person who plays Jack Torrance, Haunted of Hill House. He's one of those directors that likes to use the same people, but they do so great for him. And the way he shoots things and the way he does the music, and the Newton brothers were the ones who did the score for this, and I thought they did a fantastic job with the score of this film. I love the way Michael Flanagan shoots scenes. He does, and we both need to watch Haunted of Hill House because it's freaking amazing. But I think episode 6 is literally an episode where it's all, for the most part, one shot. And just watching the making of that episode is beautiful. And I loved that when Danny was walking through Overlook, that he was basically trying his best to shoot that as a one shot. At least that's what I saw. I don't know. I know there was cuts in it, but I mean, he was basically trying to shoot that as a one shot, and I loved that because I knew that I was like, "There's Michael Flanagan doing Michael Flanagan things." And
well, not just the way he shot it, but both in the direction and the writing. Kirk already touched on the fact that he did such a great job of walking that tightrope of being both the book and the sequel to the movie.
Yeah, he did the screenplay, he edited the film, and he directed it. This guy really likes to have full control of what he does. Yeah. He's one of those guys like, I have a vision for this film, and I'm going to do it my way. And even the way he shot that one scene that we're going to get to, he does enough to give you what you need without having to show you everything. Right. He has the ability to show that phenomenal horror and just make you have to envision what's going on without actually showing you.
Yeah, if they had shown too much of that one, they would have lost some people.
You would have put. And I knew Flanagan wasn't going to do it because Flanagan, like I said, he's a fantastic director. And that was one of the other things too. Is like when I heard Ewan McGregor was cast, I was like, great. And Rebecca Ferguson was cast, I was like, all right, I like her in most things. But then when I heard Flanagan was directing, I was like, you have my attention because I love him as a director.
I'm not too familiar with him as a director. Like those kind of movies are not. It's not him personally. That's a genre I'm not that into, so I don't watch it a lot. So I'm not too familiar with his work. But what I love, and like Brian said, is he did the perfect job of making it a Shining sequel and very much a Shining sequel, but also its own thing. It could have been very easy for a director to either just lean into what Kubrick did and kind of just copy that, or be like, oh, you know what? I'm doing my own thing. I'm going to defy expectations and kind of just go off my own way. He did it perfectly, where this is very much its own standalone movie, but it has enough elements of it at the right times, with a shot here, with a camera angle here, with the music cue here. It's very much a child of The Shining.
Yeah, he did that perfectly. It was a great job of respecting both King and Kubrick and mixing it and molding it into one great film overall. But yeah, I wanted to take a little side thing to Michael Flanagan because he deserves to be talked about. I think the only people we have left are, to me, the 3 big supporting actors in this film, and that is Cliff Curtis, played by who plays Billy Freeman, Crow Daddy, played by Zahn McClarnon, and Snakebite Andy, played by Emily Alyn Lynn. Me personally, I loved all 3 of these people. I think Cliff Curtis is one of those guys. He's like a Walton Goggins kind of actor, which Walton Goggins is big now, but he's one of those guys that he just shows up. Same thing like Timothy Oliphant. He just shows up. He's great in everything he does, and then everyone's like, "Oh, it's that guy. I know that guy." And Cliff Curtis is one of those guys. I love him in everything that he's been in. I love what he does in the scenes, and I loved him as Billy Freeman. What were you guys' thoughts on Cliff Curtis?
Yeah, he's good. I mean, you're right. He's just one of those really good character actors who just fills the spot and wherever they put him in at. I like the character. It's just that guy that you need in a story like this where he's a good enough guy that he's going to go along with something just because because that's the kind of friend he is, and he played that part of it really well. I mean, that's what struck me about the performance is how he was, because that's hard to pull. Because I mean, when you got to be the guy that believes the story.
I love that moment where he's in the car, where he's like, dude, there's nothing I would love more for you to be wrong about this and just go, my friend's crazy because I can deal with that. But what if you were telling me? He goes, then it's 1,000. Yeah, I love that. It was short, it was simple, but I loved how he did that. And then that story that he was telling while they were digging about the deer. Like it's little moments like that. That was just like, Cliff Curtis needs to be recognized more. Yeah, Brian, thoughts on Cliff Curtis?
Same thing. I've always just found him to be a real dependable character actor. He kills it in everything he's done. I mean, I remember him going back to Three Kings and Live Free or Die Hard and 100 other movies that he's always in, and he's always does a great job. I mean, he's not somebody that you ever look at and go, wow, that's an Oscar-nominated performance, but he always just kills the small parts that he plays.
Mm-hmm. And that goes to Crow Daddy. Zahn McClarnon. The only thing I really know him from is Westworld, where they really dedicated a whole episode to his character, and I thought he did a fantastic job. And I loved him as Crow Daddy in this movie. Like another one, once again, a character who's cocky, confident, but also supportive and protective of the True Knot. And I loved how he flipped the tables on Danny and Abra. Because he was the one that was like, look, I know how powerful this girl is because of how Rose told me, so I'm gonna go ahead and go to the house instead of going there. Like I
think Rose sent him there.
Well, yeah. I don't know. Did Rose send him there?
There was implied because she kind of said, okay, go Crow, do your thing. And
yeah, I loved Crow Daddy. Brian,
I thought was, after Rebecca Ferguson, I thought his character was the most impressive and unique character. There's something about him. He had a certain charisma to him as well that really appealed to me, and I thought that he did a great job of playing that. That actor, I've never seen. I think I saw the first episode of Westworld, maybe two, I don't know. But I know him mostly from a TV show called Longmire, which he does an excellent job as a sheriff in that one. But I was looking at his filmography. He's been in millions of TV shows and movies, going back to In Living Color and Baywatch. He was on episodes of. I mean, this is going back forever. But I really hope that he gets to become a more used character actor like Cliff Curtis or somebody, because I really like him and I thought he did a great job here.
Kirk, what do you think of Crow Daddy?
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the actor either, but I love a blue collar villain. I love bad guys who are they're not evil. They're not out to just be bad for the sake of being bad, but they have a job to do. And they're just doing their job, and they're kind of just towing the line. And he played that really well. I mean, on one hand, he was just kind of almost like that redneck type character, but on the other, he was he was scheming, he had a plan. But I love those kind of guys that are just there doing what they got to do, and it happens to be the wrong thing to do.
Well, a lot of these movies tend to have the main villain and then their head henchman, which I suppose he would technically fall into that, but without being just kind of a boring stereotypical one. I thought he brought something to it.
Exactly, because there's that thing too where it's he knows how to control Rose too. There's that moment where he was like, we need to feed. She's like, no, we're good. No, I'm telling you, we need to do this. You want me to be able to do this job? I can't do it without this. He was the only one that could really probably get through to Rose. Mm-hmm. That scene on top of the RV, I thought was really good. And then of course that whole scene with him and Abra, where they're talking in the car and Danny takes over Abra. Just loved that back and forth.
Yeah.
Such a great.
He's just like, hey, stranger.
And his that relationship that you brought it up there, Sean, the relationship between Rose and Crow Daddy was really good. And it's another thing where it's they had a good relationship. And in another
girlfriend,
in another story, they were supportive of each other. They were they had that back and forth. In another story, that they could have been the protagonists, and you would have been rooting for them. That's the kind of relationship they had.
Exactly. Like I said, that's the thing that was so great about Rose the Hat is yes, she's the villain of this story, but they could have done a whole nother movie just about the True Knot, and they could be the heroes.
You know what I was feeling when I first saw the True Knots? It had kind of a Near Dark feel to me. Have you ever seen Near Dark movie?
Mm.
Oh, it's a Catherine Bigelow movie. It's with Bill Paxton, Lance Henriksen, and Jeanette Goldstein, I think her name is. They're James Cameron standard people. But it's a really good vampire horror movie, and they were like traveling around in an RV, and you should check it out. But it kind of had that same feel to me, where I could watch a whole movie of them traveling around.
Oh yeah, I could watch the entire movie just about the True Knot. Or even that's what a lot of people were saying with this movie was that it was good, but it could have been better if they had done like a Netflix series with the same cast, because they could have dedicated a full episode or two of the True Knot to give them more fleshed out characters. Because that's the one thing is like I loved her performance, but I feel like she maybe needed a little bit more time, and that was Snakebite Andy. I loved her introduction, great introduction, and we kind of got to see the inner world of the True Knot because of her induction into it. But then it's like once she got inducted, she kind of took a back seat.
She really did. I mean, when she first showed up, I felt like it kind of told you how they're scouting people out, and as well as how they're finding people to bring into their fold. But also the way that she was preying on these creepy old guys who were trying to meet young girls, I kind of thought that was where it was going to lead to like their victims, they're going for victims who are bad people anyway, so you won't hate them as much. Of course, that changed later on with some other scenes in a major way. But I felt the same way as you, is that they kind of introduced this character but then after that, she really just kind of faded into the group for the most part.
She just faded into the group, and then all of a sudden she was gone. but I loved when she was the focus. I thought she did a great job. But then she just kind of became one of the group, and I was like, you could have probably done a little bit more with her. But I get it. It's 2.5 hours long. You got to learn. There probably is a cut out there with her being used more. We just probably won't get to see.
Which, by the way, there's so many movies that I think that when they're 2.5 hours, I'm just like, oh, really? And then you can watch it and think they could have cut out a half an hour right there. I didn't feel that about this movie.
Not this one. There were things where it's like you can't cut this out because this is necessary and it's needed. I am 100% agree with you. Like it was 2.5 hours.
A little bit of a tangent, but yeah.
No, it's fine. But no, it was 2.5 hours long, and it was a needed 2.5 hours long. It could have been longer. Same thing with It Chapter 2, another Stephen King film. It was 2 hours and 45 minutes. It needed to be longer for the story they were telling because they were telling the wrong things. There were stories that they should have dug more in on, and then there were stories that they should have not just done. And while it did feel long, it needed more time, or they just needed to refocus on what they were doing. And I think Dr. Sleep did that beautifully.
Yeah. Again, more props to Mike Flanagan for how
exactly. He knows how to form a story. Kirk, thoughts on Snakebite Andy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was her role. She was the audience insert into that group, and she was the way you. I mean, like even like during when the grandfather character was dying, you learned a lot about them through her. Yeah, when he was dying, you learned about a lot through her, and I mean that was why she was there. I mean, you needed a character like that to to give them a reason to give exposition. And as far as the whole group goes, I kind of like the mystery of them. I mean, I'm sure there's a lore there written down in Stephen King's file cabinet somewhere, and I'd love to get into that sometime. But just like how we're giving a taste of it, like when he was dying and she was talking about like his history and everything he had done, I loved getting that little bit of flavor to it. Yeah, so I was fine with it.
King's rise and fall, and empires and stuff like that. I was like, damn, how old is he?
Yeah.
Grandpa Flick, by the way, played by Lurch from the Addams Family.
Yes. Yeah. Lurch from that. Somebody told me, I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. But and I think with any Stephen King book, talking about what you take out. I mean, his books are so long that when you adapt them into the movie, even if it's 2.5, 3 hours long, you have to pick and choose. And I think this movie did a good job of that.
Because in the book, the True Knot is a much larger group. In the book.
Yeah,
there's a lot of them in that, and then they stay at the Overlook, where the Overlook was. Because basically, in the book, the Overlook's burned down, and they live on basically the location of it. But it's a large group of them instead of like the 7, 8 that are in the movie. But yeah, it's, I like I said, True Knot, fantastic, and those three being Rose, Crow Daddy, and even Grandpa Fleck. I mean, I like that they gave him some focus. I mean, not enough to really have to really go into detail on them, but I mean, I liked that he was kind of the stable point of showing what happens when you get to that age. And like you said, Kirk, Andy is the eyes for us into this group. You know, we get to see how do you get brought into the group, what happens when you die, what how the group works and does what they do. And without Andy, maybe we wouldn't have the emotional weight that we did with the True Knot without Andy there to kind of guide us through it in a sense. But yeah, I mean, she just after Grandpa Fleck dies, she's kind of backseating the whole rest of the way. But all right, so any other cast you guys want to talk about before we start going into the themes?
Only if we're going to talk about the recasts.
Yeah,
those are going to be scenes. We're definitely going to talk about them. We're gonna hold them off. Or we can go right into that right now since you brought it up. Let's go ahead and go right into that. That was if there was a negative I had with the film.
Well, do we start the very beginning?
We're just going to talk about them as a whole.
Okay.
The four recasts between Wendy, Danny, Dick, and inevitably Jack. The first time I see Wendy, part of me was like, "Is this a DH?" And then I was like, "Oh wait, no, she's pretty. That's not Shelley Duvall." I'm sorry, Shelley Duvall is not pretty in the Shining. Like with I think her name is Alex. S-O-E or S-O-E, I don't know.
I think it's S-O.
Her the voice when she was she was on screen, she was calling them. I thought they had just taken old footage and reused it. It sounds exactly like her.
Yeah, first time she popped in, I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm liking this. But then when he's on the bench talking to Dick and she's all like, Daddy, I was like,
yeah,
holy crap, she's doing this perfectly. And after that, I was fully invested in her performance of Wendy. I personally wasn't a fan of the kid who played Danny. Because he looked because that's the thing with Alex as Wendy. I mean, taking the beauty out of the equation, like the way she did the hair and the way she carried herself, I bought her as Wendy.
They had the ears coming out of the hair.
Yeah, the ears around the hair, her mouth always kind of open, her eye, doe eyes just kind of going around.
Better teeth, though.
What's that?
Better teeth, though.
Yeah. And even when she was running across the street, she did the...
Yeah.
I was like, she did the run! I thought she did a fantastic job. She's the one... Her and the guy who did Dick, which was Carl Lumbly. I thought they were the two best at the recasting. Danny, I wasn't a fan of because he looks nothing like Danny.
Danny. I mean, the thing about that was he wasn't in it that much, so that didn't bother me.
He was a really lengthy scene though, with Dick on the bench.
Oh yeah. You're right. Yeah, but other than that, it wasn't too.
That's the first moment where I got kind of caught because I think doesn't the movie open up outside of Rose and the little girl?
Yeah.
We start with Danny riding the tricycle.
Yeah, that's mostly over the shoulder shot, so you really don't see that much.
And then it stops and he turns. I'm like,
yeah,
that's not Danny. And I would have loved to have seen what happened in room 237, but we never got to see it. Like when you saw I can't remember the old lady's name. It's Miss something. But when she comes to the door, I was like, oh, are we actually going to see what happened? No, which sucks because I really wanted to see what happened. But yeah, it's like it took me out of the movie for a second. So I was like, wait, did they try to do de-aging and it didn't work? And then Wendy came in. I was like, oh no, these are different actors. But yeah, he was the one that didn't really quite work for me. Like I said, and Carl Lumbly, maybe people know him from Supergirl. He plays Martha Manhunter's father. I thought he actually did a really good job as Dick. He was the one character that I thought seamlessly came in without any there was one point where I was like, is that no? I was like, that actor wouldn't look like that. I was like, that's the one where I was like, is that Dick? I actually thought it might have been the actual actor because he came in just fluently.
He did really good, and the thing too, maybe that's why I don't remember Danny for the benching so much because I was so focused on him when they were at the park. And I'll say this too, I was very curious to see how they would handle this because again, a big difference between the book and the movie is that in the book, Halloran doesn't die. So he survives. And so in Doctor Sleep, the novel, he's still alive. So I was curious to see how they were going to handle that, and they did a good job of it. And it obviously ties back into the end. But yeah, the guy who played him, he did a really good job. I think he was the most
complete.
Yeah, because I mean, like the mom really didn't have that much to do.
No.
She was kind of in and out, where Dick was vital to the movie, and you know, if he wouldn't have worked out, it kind of could have collapsed under the weight of that. I mean, he was a very important, not central, but important character of the movie.
And we'll leave Jack to last.
Yeah.
Brian, thoughts on Wendy, Danny, and Dick?
So when it first started out, and the first show is Wendy and Danny there, and it took me a minute to be sure that it was supposed to be Wendy and Danny, because they were clearly different. Like, especially, I knew that wasn't Shelley Duvall; it was a different actress. But as soon as they start talking, you realize the scene, like, okay, this is they recast these roles, and it took me a minute to kind of get into them. Like, okay, I can buy these people. It's just recasting a role like anything else, just a different actor playing it, and I was fine with it. Like I said, Danny, I wasn't comparing him to the original kid who played Danny, because I didn't think there was any need for him to be super close to it, because they're just kind of referring back to it a little bit. I thought that Alex S.O. did a really good job of portraying the Shelley Duvall's character. And sorry, I lost my train of thought there. And the one who played Dick, I felt the same way. It's like I mean, I wasn't thinking he was Cameron Crothers, especially because I think he's dead. But
I know. There's no way he would look like that, because he's probably.
But it was
dead.
kind of the same thing where you look at him and go, okay, that's not him. But I could immediately, I'm like, okay, I can buy him. This is Dick now, and I had no problem with that. So really, I had no problem with the recastings of those three at all.
Yeah, I don't think any of us, for the most part, had a problem with those three. It was the latter. My main problem with Danny too is that Danny in The Shining's hair is a lot lighter than the kid in
I didn't even pay attention. I watched Shining in a couple of years.
I watched it like a month or two ago. I had to, so like it was fresh in my brain. But like you went from a light brown haired kid to a dark brown haired kid, and it's just like you could have at least dyed the color or found made him wear a wig or something, because it's like, no, that's entirely a different kid. Jack. Yeah.
This is tough.
An unrecognizable Henry Thomas.
Yeah, unrecognizable indeed. Basically just wearing a wig and just saying, "I'm Jack Nicholson." No, you're not.
Well, here's the difficult part of this, is that you can't just have someone do it. I mean, if anybody else had played that, I mean, who's a contemporary that could have played? Have
you seen that meme with Jim Carrey's face?
No. It's
scary how close Jim Carrey and Jack Nicholson look alike with that.
No, but I'm talking about Jack Nicholson himself. I mean, it's such an iconic voice, such an iconic look, that if somebody, say, like Harvey Keitel had played Jack Torrance in The Shining, you could bring in any actor and just kind of have him look kind of like him and sound kind of like him, and it would have been okay. But with Jack Nicholson, because it's Jack Nicholson, you can't have someone come in and just do a Jack Nicholson impression, because that would just be so hokey, you know what I mean? And so I understand why they went the opposite direction, but I don't know if it worked.
Well, Flanagan actually, and I'll touch on this once we get past Brian's thoughts on Jack. Flanagan they actually did ask Flanagan about the reason why he did Jack the way he did Jack, and it makes total sense. It's just that it just still didn't really work for me. Brian, what were your thoughts on Henry Thomas's Jack?
Well, at first I didn't know it was him, Henry Thomas. I started watching it, and I thought it was just kind of an unknown actor they put in the role. And there was just something. I don't know if it's just because Jack has such an iconic look and an iconic voice that you immediately are like, that's not Jack. But I just think that, I mean, because they easily could have put somebody, like you said, doing a Jack impression. You could have had Christian Slater play him, because he's been doing Jack impression his whole career, and that would have been just silly.
Beautiful, I think.
So they went the other way and just kind of put what I thought at the time was an unknown actor in it, and I just thought, I didn't dislike the movie because of it or anything, but it did take me out of it for a minute, because I was just sitting there going, almost like an uncanny valley. I'm like, it's supposed to be Jack, but it's not Jack. And then at the moment when I'm like, wait a minute, that's Henry Thomas? And then I was kind of taken out of it, just because I was surprised by that. But I just wish that they had played the part a little more. Like, I mean, we first see him, he's at the bar, you just see the hands, and then you see him a little bit from behind and stuff. I wish they just kept playing it that way and not tried to show in his face. Because something about his face was just
in Rogue One.
He was just doing enough of trying to do the face that it was like, just don't stop.
Yeah, and he was like kind of like chubby, like he was like just was like there was enough. And again, because we talked about before how emotional this scene and how the movie built up to that, and the whole time I'm thinking like, are they gonna like? I mean, I'm from minute one. I'm like, are they gonna try and fit him in here somewhere? Are they gonna try and squeeze the character in? And if so, how are they gonna do it? And like you said, the same thing, Brad. I wish they just would have done the hands and over the shoulder and stuff like that because it's such an important scene, such an emotional scene, such an impactful, in the scheme of the story, such an iconic scene with these two characters finally meeting and talking to each other. To have that take you out of it, and again, I don't know how else they could have done it, but just that again, that was enough to be like where I couldn't immerse myself in that scene the way I wanted to because I was focused. I was looking at that.
Honestly, I think a missed opportunity is when Danny's walking through the hotel and he walks by the photos and he doesn't know his dad. I was waiting
looking for that,
and see his dad in that 1920s photo, and it never happened. I
thought for sure that was going to happen. Yeah,
because I mean, I knew that was where my thought was going to be with the connection to Jack. Was not that Jack was going to show up, was that he's going to see the picture of his dad.
That's what I thought they were
going to be our tip of the cap to Jack Nicholson.
Yeah,
and then they started doing it, and I was just like, "Is that Lloyd?"
That's
We see the hands. It's like, okay, he's the bartender. Is that Lloyd? And then we see the hair, and I'm like, oh wait, they're doing Jack.
I still wasn't even sure for a few minutes if it was supposed to be Jack. I was like,
is
it just the bartender?
Yeah.
Finally, I'm like, I guess it is supposed to be him.
And then I think he started talking about like a wife and kid and blah blah blah. But no, Brian, I think how it would have worked is exactly how you said, is that they would have focused on like his hands or an over the shoulder where you just see his hair or something like that. Or even when they did the side shot, that was still fine because you could. It was if you did like a quick side shot where you couldn't get a good glimpse.
Yeah, there's like 2-minute long side shots.
But then you kept it on him. Like, if you just would have done it more on just like Danny's reaction.
Yeah.
When he talked to his father and not focus on him, it wouldn't have taken. Even if they had done Christian Slater, we all been like, "That's Christian Slater."
Yeah, right.
But no, they asked Flanagan, why did you recast instead of de-aging? And he just said, like, look, if we did de-aging, if we de-aged Jack, then we'd have to de-age Wendy, we'd have to de-age Danny, we'd have to de-age Dick, and it just. At that point, I didn't want to take people out of the movie. So I did a recasting instead. And then they were asking, well, with Henry Thomas's Jack, why didn't you have him do Jack's voice? And his explanation was that wasn't Jack. Yeah. That was the house portraying Jack. So while Danny is talking to Jack as his father, it is not Jack's ghost that he's talking to. It is basically the Lloyd character who also portrayed the guy who talks to Jack in the bathroom in The Shining, who was it Mr. Grady? Yeah. Okay. That wasn't Grady. That was the house portraying Grady. And so that's what they're saying. Like, that's why we didn't have him do a Jack impression, because people would just bash him for doing an impression, and so that it wasn't actually Jack. That's why he talked like a normal person and not Jack. Is that it was the house portraying him.
And that's a callback to the original story. I mean, you see that with Lloyd and Grady in the original, where they're either if it is their personality, it's been absorbed and they've become a part of the hotel. And I think that's
it's been 40 years too.
Yeah, and that's with the fact that they Lloyd works the hotel, Grady works the hotel as the ghosts. That's in keeping with the lore of what the house is. And I think when he first pours the drink and when he first starts speaking, he sounds exactly like Lloyd. And not till the end, as he's talking, he's getting more and more talking about the wife and the kids. You start to hear a little bit of Jack's voice pour through. So I think initially he is supposed to be Lloyd. He's supposed to be that. He's supposed to be the hotel's bartender.
And I think the first initiation we got that it was Jack was when Danny said something about the Jack Daniels.
Yeah, he said that was always your drink.
Oh, Dad. Oh,
yeah.
Crap.
But the way he played the character, because I think there's a line in the in The Shining, well, I don't know if it's Lloyd or Grady says it, but it basically says we've always been here. So, like I said, they I think what it is their essence gets pulled into the house. They become part of it, and like I said,
and it sucks. I don't think it's Henry Thomas's fault, but he's the one that's the most heavily criticized.
It was a no-win situation for him.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, further evidence of, like you're saying, it's not necessarily, it's not Jack himself. Is, I mean, even in the credits, he's credited as the bartender. He's not credited as Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whereas everyone else is credited as the that was actually.
And I'll ask the question: would you guys have been okay with something digital or something de-aged? Or
well, here's the thing: I don't think. Well, for the whole question about him asking about de-aging, people asking the director about de-aging is silly because the only person you could de-age would be Jack, because Shelley Duvall looks nothing like that anymore. The kid obviously has aged, 40 years, 30 years. Scatman Crothers is dead, so really it'd be a question more of using unused footage from something else, repurposing it, kind of like with the beginning of Terminator: Dark Fate.
Gladiator.
Yeah, but because the only person who could de-age would be Jack, and I really think I would not have liked that, because while it can work, I mean, even when it's really well done, if you watch Kurt Russell at the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or Michael Douglas when they've de-aged him, it looks good, but you still look at it and go, that's de-aged. And so I really would have rather they do it more old school subtle ways, like the hands or over the shoulder shit like that.
Yeah. In the case of Michael Douglas and Kurt Russell, they at least for the most part look still like that. Jack looks nothing like Jack.
Right.
Now, Jack.
I just imagine there's got to be footage somewhere that they could have used and maybe, I mean, not do a close up, but have something where it's really him. And like I said,
we could have had him come in and do a voice dub.
Yeah,
he could have come in and done that. But I think it's a no-win situation.
Yeah,
I think it would have been better if they had not had Jack been there and it had been Lloyd talking to him, and then him seeing Jack in the photo.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been the best case scenario. And then, I think that would have been the best case, because any de-aging Jack, then we're gonna criticize Jack not looking like Jack. And criticize Henry Thomas for putting a Jack impression. We're gonna criticize him for having a horrible Jack impression. I mean, heck, you could have casted what's that YouTube star's name who's really good at voices? He actually does look like Jack. In a sense. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Nobody cares about YouTube stars anyway.
he does a fantastic Robin Williams. He does a fantastic
except for Sean's Movie Cruzaders. Watch that.
Into the shameless plug. He could have done it great. I think they could have done him. If he was gonna do an impression, then they should have cast someone like that. But it's kind of a no-win situation. I mean, yes, we here have figured out a workaround that would have made it work. But I also think that if you would have done Lloyd, the scene wouldn't work for Danny as well. Because him talking to his father, it's talking to a bartender, which he never had an interaction with Lloyd. Yeah. So it wouldn't have hit as hard. Once Danny started to go into his talk, I was able to remove myself from the whole Jack thing. It was that last shot of Jack where I was like, you didn't have to do that shot. Mm-hmm. Whereas like I think Danny walks away or something like that, and then they just focus on Jack. I was like, that you didn't have to do that shot, because that's the shot that's going to annoy people.
But again, that scene, the scene itself worked. The whole conversation worked. So these are just nitpicks as far as like who they cast in something.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great scene in a no-win situation, because no one's going to be satisfied with the way they did Jack. Like I said, the best case scenario would have been have it been Lloyd, but then the scene wouldn't have been strong, and it wouldn't have been a closed book for Danny as a character. So I mean, it is what it is. You couldn't really do a workaround. I get what Michael Flanagan says. He did. I get it. And it totally makes sense. Problem is that 90% of the people who are watching this movie aren't going to read that article or know exactly why he did what he did. They're just going to think, well, that was stupid. But let's go ahead and go to the one thing that we all wanted to talk about. I think it's the reason we all wanted to do the spoiler review, and that is the scene. And I'm just going to call it the scene because I don't think you can think of any other scene in this movie and not know the scene. Brian and I were the same thought process here. Is like while Bradley Trevor was walking down the street, we're like, is that fucking Jacob Tremblay?
Yeah. Surprise Jacob Tremblay.
I don't know if they ever announced he was in the movie, but I certainly didn't know it.
They didn't.
Yeah.
And like I was just like, is that Tremblay? I was like, if not, he's got a doppelganger. Why did they casted a kid who looked like Jacob Tremblay? I literally waited till the end of the movie, waited for the cast list because it doesn't pop up right away. I was like, yep, I gotta see if this. I was like, holy crap, yeah, they got Jacob Tremblay, and for good effing reason, because holy crap, he played that role perfectly.
Yeah.
I literally had a woman walk out during that scene. She walked out. I think she had seen Dr. Sleep before, and she was seeing it with friends because she got up before they started, and she came in after it was done. I was like, you couldn't plan that without knowing what was coming.
Yeah, I tried to talk my wife into going to see this with me. When that scene came up, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad she didn't. that one not have went well.
And see, that's what I was curious about you two, because you two have kids.
Yeah.
And so, are you guys able to, like, this is a movie, I don't have to think like that, or was that something where like?
Well, I think it always weighs on you, because I mean, I'm watching this movie, and I mean, they're not only killing a kid, they're torturing him because they want the pain to purify the steam and everything. They want him to suffer and the fear. But anytime I'm watching a movie like that, even when I'm watching a movie about a kid being abducted or attacked or murdered or whatever, it always kind of makes you think, well, whoa, what if that was my kid? So even if you're not focusing on it, I think it's always there if you're a parent.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, I read a lot of Stephen King's books, and I mean, a hallmark of Stephen King is awful things happening to children, and him not letting you look away. So I mean, that's a staple of his books, and so
they don't make it to film.
Yeah, and I was surprised. I mean, I think this is a gutsy call to put the scene in here, because I mean, I think this is pretty much straight out how it happened in the book, and I was waiting. I'm like, okay, when are they going to cut away? When are they? Well,
we touched on it earlier, which I thought that it was an important scene in the book, or if not, they had to replace it with something similar, because you were still not cheering for the True Knots, but you were still like, okay, they're just doing their thing, they got to live too, it's like, oh, animals got to eat animals, it's the circle of life, whatever. But then they do this, and you're like, holy shit, these are some evil people.
You see them absorbing steam, so it's like, oh, are they like the freaking Dementors, where they just go up and go, suck the soul out? That's like, oh no, that is not what they do. Holy
and it's not just that they killed him, it's that they tortured him. That was the first time I think we found out about the pain and the fear purifying the steam, and I was just like, oh shit.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, you think we would be prepared for this, because I think for like I said Stephen King books, they do things like that to kids, but with It Chapter 1, how they took care of little brother, how he ripped the arm off, like that was like, holy crap, I can't believe they actually showed that. So I mean, we should have, I guess, been prepared or ready that they're willing to do something like this to kids now, at least for the Stephen King movies. But yeah, like it wasn't necessarily that they did it, is that how long it was. Yeah. Because it wasn't like 30 seconds in and out. Like, no, this was like 3 to 5 minutes long.
And that's just what we saw. It went from like, it was like daylight was coming up and they're burying him. I'm like, oh yeah, they've been at this for a while, torturing him.
It wasn't that what they were doing. It was that we had to sit there and watch the whole thing.
And I thought about, how you said about that movie. I thought for sure when they showed that Abra was looking in, I thought for sure they were going to do something where she was. I was waiting for her. Not that necessarily. I mean, I wanted it, but I knew it couldn't happen for the sake of the story. I was waiting for her to save her. I thought she was going to blow them back or do something where she was going to give him a chance to get out of there. I thought till the very end that she was going to be able to wrestle, just because I couldn't believe they were actually going through with this on screen.
I think in that case, she just either A, wasn't strong enough, or B, just didn't know she had that capability. Even in the grocery scene with Rose, I don't think she had the intent of pushing her. I think she got to that point where she just had enough, and she just did it, and it happened.
Sure.
Well, but I mean, so Kirk, you read the actual book. Were they just like gutting him? Like, what were they actually doing? Because obviously they don't show it, which good. But it's like,
I don't know. Again, it's been a while since I read the book. I mean, they go into detail about the fact that they are torturing him. I don't know if they go into detail about how they do it.
Okay.
But I know it plays out very similarly. I mean, it's a very long, and like I said, it doesn't let you off the hook. It's very.
I don't think it was a matter. I mean, my guess is that it wasn't a matter of gutting him because that would kill him. I think it was just a series of cuts. Just cut, breathe in the steam, cut, breathe in the steam.
Well, the reason why I was thinking of the gutting was because I love how we're going into such great detail of the torturing of a child. Was that like near the end you're seeing the blood splatter and it's on his face.
Yeah.
And that's where I thought like, oh, they're like gutting him slowly because I mean like just the little cuts here, the blood wouldn't splat up like that.
Oh, once you hit a major vein, it's gonna spurt a lot.
Yeah.
But depending on where she's cutting him, she's not gonna want to cut major veins because she wants them to last.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like that was one of those things too where I was just like, yeah, it's I actually like I said, I read about the scene and it was effed up when they were filming it because Tremblay and his dad were there, and I guess they had been practicing the scene for like 2 weeks prior, and I guess Rebecca Ferguson couldn't shoot the scene. She couldn't shoot it because Tremblay was doing such a good job that she couldn't like handle watching it or being a part of it because I guess like he would scream bloody murder and then Michael would call cut and he would get up and start whistling and go over to his dad and just be like, all right guys, cool, and like everyone, and he's like everyone else on set is like in tears watching the scene and Tremblay's just up and around just like going, that was great scene, guys. Like I he said he shot it twice, and because the first time they said Rebecca Ferguson couldn't do it, and so they shot their scenes separate and then just spliced them together.
Wow.
His performance of the torture was so realistic to her that she couldn't do it, which once again just tells you how freaking amazing Jacob Tremblay is as a young actor. But to know that he got up and started whistling and was like his dad is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole scene, because like I said, a lot of people were like, that scene was unnecessary. No, that scene was the most necessary because it drives the whole rest of the film. It's Abra seeing that murder of a child that pushes her to reach out to Danny, that pushes her to like even when she, like I said, she doesn't know her full power when she does the boom and punches his wall with the murder or red rum. It's because she doesn't understand her full potential yet, and so she's screaming out, and like that's another huge scene. Which honestly, that whole time when that happened, I kept thinking of his landlord's gonna be pissed.
Yeah,
he's making noise, and that
he'd been good for 8 years at that point, though. Come on.
Yeah,
I know. But all I could think was like, oh shit, that was a lot of noise. But yeah, no, that scene, as hard it was to watch. It was a incredibly well done scene, and Michael Flanagan shot it perfectly, giving you just enough without giving you too much, without going over the line, but then made you wait and just kind of have to drink it and forced you to watch it. I thought that was fantastic. Any other scenes that stand out to you that you want to talk about besides the third act?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything.
I
mean, I will go into this too. I mean, going back into the whole like child thing, the scene with, I mean, I guess it goes back the way to the opening when we first meet Danny when he's with that girl and the kid, and then when he sees their ghost and the baby ghost.
Was that them?
Yeah. It was
yeah.
And saying something about they haven't found us or something, so I'm assuming they died in their apartment. I don't know.
Yeah, like she died, and then I guess the baby starved to death.
Okay, see, I never figured out that was them.
Yeah, that was it.
I was just like, was that? Did he have a wife and a child? Like that was the only part of the film where I was like,
it was definitely the same people. And then she said something like they still haven't found us or something.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that made that seem way more. Way more to me now. Damn.
So, I mean, that was necessary. Again, I mean, that's like seeing like the little baby ghost was hard, but again, necessary because that drives Danny from that point. I think.
Well, because that's why I think I thought the baby was a baby, and that was a toddler. Like, that's why I didn't think
it makes the same noise, like because like when he first sees it, it's like it makes it like it's like bah, bah, whatever when he first walks out the door, and then the ghost makes the same noise.
Okay, because it was like I part of me was like, is that them? And then I saw the baby, and I was like, no, there was a toddler who was walking around. It wasn't a baby. Maybe it's because we didn't focus on it enough, but. Yeah, if that is who that was, like, holy crap, that seems a lot more darker than I thought it was.
And that's out of the book too.
Is it in the book too?
Yeah.
Is it? Oh, okay. The only other thing I can think of before going into the third act was the showdown in the woods. Where Billy and Danny were waiting for the True Knot. And how we see Abra has that ability where she can make herself look like she's somewhere else. When Andy stabs her and it's the bear.
Yeah.
And then I do love how Danny and Bill start off as horrible shots, but then all of a sudden started becoming sharpshooters. Like anything for like the first like minute, and then after they're like ping, ping, ping the whole way through. But I love how the True Knot die. Like it's horrifying and looks amazing. And then like that gut wrench punch when Andy kills Billy.
Yeah.
Oh, I kind of saw that coming too, because we knew that she was with a pusher or whatever you want to call him, and when she didn't like die right away, when he was walking up while she was still there, I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good. And sure enough, she says, "Kill yourself." I'm like, oh.
Well, you knew Cliff was or Billy wasn't surviving that scene. You know,
I kind of thought he was going to die when he went on the mission with him. Yeah.
In the book, Billy makes it to the Overlook.
Does he?
Yeah, Billy makes it to the Overlook in the book. No, I thought she was going to say shoot Danny. That's what I thought she was going to do, but then she'll shoot yourself. And I was like, oh, no.
Because at that point, she doesn't care about the mission of killing Danny. She wants revenge on the guy who basically killed her. So
yeah.
True. But I thought she was like, if he kills Danny, then that takes Danny out because Danny's powerful.
She doesn't care about Danny. She's dying. She doesn't care about everybody else.
Yeah, but I think she was thinking more about. I mean, yeah, I guess we're giving Andy too much credit because she's like, I would take Danny out because of Rose. But yeah, no, that's I like the placement of that scene. I love how each True Knot dies because it's like it's violent in a sense.
And the conversation after, when she's like, "Your people died, my people died, and for what?" We're right where we started.
Oh yeah, with Crow Daddy, yeah, it's like the same thing happened. So yeah, and like I said, like every time it was almost like. Here's my thing: was Rose watching it happen, or was it something she felt inside her every time one of them died? Because we see her reaction after every death.
And I want to say she just felt it, because I don't think she was a watcher. She was more of an antenna. Yeah. She could feel somebody's presence.
We never saw her watching it, but it was almost like she got shot.
Yeah, I think she felt it, but didn't see it.
Once again, done fantastically by Rebecca Ferguson. All right, so third act time. I know both of you guys have negatives towards the Shining aspect of the film. You guys
that's overstating it a little bit.
I don't feel. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I didn't like you. I don't remember the book. Like I said, it's been a long time since I read it. I don't remember them even like. I remember there being like a little bit about the location, but I mean, obviously in the movies universe, the Overlook or the book universe, the Overlook burned down, so there was no actual.
In the book, the final act or third act happens at the location of the Overlook. Danny and Billy go there. Abra does not. Okay. Danny and Billy go to the Overlook and they fight the True Knot on the location of the Overlook, and all the ghosts are still there, apparently.
And it's but I mean, for me, it's like I wasn't sure how. Like I said, I didn't expect them to go back to all the stuff in the trailers at the Overlook. I expect were just like dreams and visions. I didn't think they were actually going to go there. So I mean, I was surprised by that. I didn't hate, and cut me off here if I go too far. You want to talk further than you want to go right now, but I didn't hate that they went back, and I think they handled it really well. I mean, it didn't until later, I think, get real fan servicey. Like, I think going back through and going through the halls and showing locations, like you said, Sean, the way it was shot was fantastic. So I didn't hate that they were there. Just some of the things that happened while they were there were a little.
The only thing I wish, not to cut you off because I know you got a lot to say, the only thing I wish we would have done on that shot, and this is like I said, where Michael Flanagan would have been phenomenal. One of the greatest things about Michael Flanagan in Haunting of Hill House is that house is haunted with tons of ghosts. And you just be walking down a hallway and you would see a ghost somewhere in a corner. And in Haunting of Hill House, it becomes a game while you're watching it of how many ghosts can you spot in an episode. And that's what I was hoping was going to happen when he walked through the Overlook. Is like he'd be going down a hallway and you would see the twins down in a corner somewhere. Or you would see some of the party goers down.
I thought that was going to come later, but I'll talk about that.
Yeah, it's like I was hoping that that's what we were gonna get, but I get that's why I was like, it's one of those things where it's like he doesn't want to make this Haunting of Hill House, so I get why he didn't do it. But I would have loved if he would have done something different than them just re-showing the scenes of like the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Rose showed up, instead of just showing the 1980s version of the elevator door opening, maybe a newer version of it. Maybe not as bloody because it's not as powerful, or maybe the blood is stained on the floors in the elevator instead of it rushing out. Because Rose's reaction really wasn't anything like, "Ooh, that's cool," kind of thing. Like it was one of those things where it's like that part was a missed opportunity, but him walking down the halls I thought was great. It's just the way he shoots Haunting of Hill House, which you guys haven't seen, which you guys need to see, is every corner of them walking down a hall, you are basically searching the screen because there are anywhere between 1 to 3 ghosts almost hidden in like every shot of that movie or of that show, and I was expecting that with The Shining.
And I'm kind of thinking that's probably why they didn't do that, because they didn't want it to be the Hill House, and I think they were building the tension up to, because I mean it was just a matter of, okay, what are we going to see and when are we going to see it, and I think they were building up that tension, and if they just would have had it like all splattered all over the place, I think it
is because he's this power coupler to the plane. Was that as he walked in, you saw the power of like everything lighting up. That maybe like the further he walked in, that's when you started to see kind of ghosts kind of peeking out, because it's like, oh, he's back, or oh, we're getting stronger now that he's in here. I would have loved that. Not them like just standing like this, but like them kind of like rats, kind of just like peeking out. Like as he's walking down the halls, you're seeing that the Overlook's getting stronger with his presence, and you start to see, because he doesn't trap
waking up. He said to wake it up.
Yeah, he doesn't trap all of them in boxes. There's hundreds of ghosts in this house, in this motel. So them peeking out, I thought would have been perfect, because it's not all ghosts that he would know, but I think it would have been great. But then also would raise the question of people who don't know The Shining, is like, who are these people? You know, not knowing that they're ghosts, because not all of them look like ghosts. It's just people in suits. But yeah, I mean, Brian, what were your thoughts on at least the initial part of the third act?
I felt like, well, hearing how the book was, part of me kind of wishes they did that, when they just went back and it was at the, maybe with the location where the Overlook used to be, but it's been burned down whatever years ago, and because I felt like
the maze is Overlook in the book, by the way. The maze is not in the book.
Yeah, but putting the Overlook in this movie, that's the one part of it that felt to me like we're going to go back to the Overlook. That felt a little fan service to me, like, oh, look, see, we are related. We are connected to the movie, We're going back to the same place. You can walk down the same hallways. You're going to see the same ghosts. And so parts of that felt a little bit like, okay, you're just, trying to tie it back for the people that have only, seen the movie. I mean, I didn't dislike the movie because of it. I didn't even dislike that part of it, because especially once he started walking around, it kind of had an atmospheric tone to it. And I kind of thought, they're revisiting it. And it was okay for me. But like you were saying, I kind of wish it'd been a little more subtle with the ghost that showed up, instead of like, hey, remember this ghost? Hey, remember this ghost? Hey, remember this ghost? I'm like, okay, we get it. Can we just?
I also don't think he should have walked into the bathroom part, because he was outside at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So him walking up and like looking in the shot Mike or Jack shot, he wasn't there for that. He was already out the window and outside at that moment, and so it was just like, that part was just like, that was fan service for that one.
Yeah, so while it didn't make me dislike the movie anymore, it didn't even lower my opinion of the movie at all, really. I just think that, again, this may just be me in the way that I was really loving most of the movie that wasn't so connected to The Shining, with the True Knots and with Danny and Billy and like that other name. Girl's name. Anyway. Yeah. But all that kind of part. And so when they're going back to like, hey, remember this is connected to The Shining, it kind of felt like, yeah, we're taking a step backwards. But again, I still love the movie.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, I'm one of the people that I actually really enjoyed the whole third act part of it. But there's, like I said, things with where the ghost could have been popping in and out. Jack's part obviously didn't work great, but I like that they went back there, because I felt like it needed to go close circle for Danny. He needed to go back to the place that basically traumatized his life, and close that book once and for all, kind of thing.
I didn't mind it. Can we talk now about the end, like the ghost and everything?
Yeah, we can go full.
Yeah.
I just want to
I'll tell you this. I called the ending of the movie when I saw, and you guys might have too. The first time they showed all those boxes in Danny's head rattling, I'm like, oh yeah, they're going to get unleashed and they're going to take down the bad guys here.
Which I didn't.
Yeah, no. My problem is, see, when I thought that was going to happen, I'd imagine is they'd trap them in there, and then you'd have Rose, and she'd run, and she'd run around a corner, and she'd see the twins, and be like, oh my god, I got to get away from them, and then she'd run down to the gold room, and they had the great party guy, and she'd be, and they eventually, the way they shot it, the way they did now, and again, this goes back to the recasting, when they had that shot of all of them like surrounding her at once, and all those new actors in those roles. It reminded me of a shot from Comic-Con and a group of people doing Shining cosplay. and that more than anything, this is the moment, more than Jack or anything, this is the moment completely sucked me out of the movie because it was just like a bunch of people dressed up in Shining costumes.
Yeah, that part didn't bother me because I guess I didn't focus on the actors from the first film as well. I was more focused on that they were literally sticking their hands in her face.
Yeah. But I mean, and again, I didn't mind bringing those ghosts back because I mean, it's part of the story. It's part of that place. But the way, again, like the fact that they were all just like literally piling on, and it's just like all these new faces in these old costumes, and it's like nothing. Like you kind of recognize, you kind of don't. That sucked me out of it for a minute. And that's my biggest down point of the movie is what should have been like a really cool moment was just spoiled by all this like throwing all that recast in your face. And again, I mean, like there's no known actors there, there are no names, but the faces and when it's somebody different. And that really just was like pulling me out.
What about you, Brian? Were you sad that you didn't see the blowjob dog or bear?
The what?
You remember the blowjob? Was it a bear or a dog?
Yeah, the guy in the bear costume.
Oh,
yeah, dude.
I was surprised he was there. I was honestly expecting to see that.
Yeah, that was the only one where I was like, "Oh, we're gonna see the blowjob bear."
No, I mean, if they were gonna do like you, I kind of expected once you started seeing the ghosts in the boxes that okay, that's what's gonna happen. They're gonna unleash and it's gonna take out Rose or whoever's left. But again, I would have been fine if they didn't. Instead of having like all the recognizable ghosts, the twins and the people they could have had like random other ghosts were the ones that attack her at that point and stuff like that. Didn't need to be trying to recast these recognizable ones.
This brings up one thought process for me because as I was watching it, so their initial plan was to trap Rose in a box. What would have they done? Because she still has the physical form. Would she just been like in a trance and they just would have went up and like chopped her head off? Like, because like obviously like when she's in Danny's mind, the box is creeping up behind her. Mm-hmm. As she grabs Abra, it's like, so what would have happened in a sense if it would have trapped her? Like, she's still physically in the hotel.
Yeah, like, but whatever part of her was in his brain would have been trapped there.
But how would that have affected the real Rose?
She could have just been catatonic, or maybe she would have disappeared and been trapped in the box.
Yeah, so what they God would just like chop off her head or something. I don't know. But I was watching. I was just like, but that's not the real Rose. So what would this do to her? Except maybe.
Oh, you almost made it through without coffee.
Yeah, I almost made it through. Except for like maybe making her weak. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, that was just a weird thing. I was like, I don't know what you're expecting to do with this, but okay. But and that's the other thing too is that in the book, Danny survives. Danny doesn't die.
Yeah.
In the book. So. I also wasn't necessarily a fan. If like I say, if I'm going nitpick, I didn't say this in my non-spoiler because obviously it was a spoiler thing. I wasn't a fan of Danny becoming his father and like hobble chasing Abra. I was just like, I could do with that.
It seemed really tacked on.
Yeah,
and I would say even with his death, like I felt like the story felt like it was an ending for him. So I assumed. He was, even though he didn't die in the book, I assumed he was going to die in the movie. I thought like he's somehow
the femoral artery got hit. Yeah. There's no way Danny's surviving because there's no way.
Yeah, but even before that, like throughout the story, I'm like, this seems like something where he's going to sacrifice himself to save her, and she's going to go on. And the way he did it, like I said, the whole thing with him being possessed is like, oh, we got to have something bad happen to him. So that just came out of nowhere, and it was there and gone in a minute.
It wasn't at all. And Rose was gone at that point.
Even even the way the story went, like I don't mind that he died. I don't like the way he did. Like I feel like he sacrificed himself unnecessarily. Like it was almost like they wanted him to die, so they had to figure out a reason for him to sacrifice himself. So they had him do this.
He was gonna die anyway. His femoral artery was bleeding out. He was gonna die regardless.
But I mean, just from a story standpoint.
It's one of those things where it's like I'm gonna bleed out. I might as well take the hotel down with me.
But I mean, he remember he went down and he set the boiler to blow first.
I think the initial plan was that he was gonna burn down the hotel and get out.
Yeah.
I don't think he had intended on going there to die. He was going there to take the hotel down once for all, and then once he's not a doctor, but he knows that he was fucked at that point.
Although if he had walked out the door with her, there was already emergency vehicles coming.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would have been.
I see what you're saying, like in story, Sean, but like in the moment. But I mean, from like a storytelling perspective, like there was really no reason for him to die. I expected him to make like a big sacrifice and theoretically or like figuratively like throw himself on the grenade for Abra's sake, and and do something where he would like Rose would kill him, but it would allow Abra to survive, or and I feel like
go full Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think that would have been much more powerful. But the way he would die, he's like, oh, I'm just going to sit here and die.
So I wanted him to live, but if they were going to kill him off, I could totally see why they would do it for a sacrificial kind of thing. But I think the thing I didn't like, and I'm hoping, the movie's not doing very well financially, so there's not going to be another one. But I do not like the way they kind of try to leave it open. I mean, leaving a little bit of an open ending, like just because the story, goes on from here, that's fine. But when it feels like it's asking for more sequels, you're like, please don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it was one of those things too. It was like Rose says he's like when they're on the stairs, which another great scene between Rebecca Ferguson and Danny, where he's like, "You're the has a feel to know that you're the last." She goes, "I'm not the last. I'm just the prettiest," knowing that there are more of them out there. And that's one of the things where it's like, well, Danny can't die because he's got to help Abra with potential if they went forward with it. But now it's just Abra, which it's not just Abra. Abra's going to go out and try to find others. But
I'm fine with that, just like living on in your minds. Like it doesn't. Even though I liked the movie, even if it was successful, I would not want them to make more.
Well, no, because then you just have Force Ghost Danny following Abra.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, it's but I like that they left that open ended. Are we going to get a sequel? Probably not. Do we need a sequel? No, but I like to know that they're out there. There's a future story out there. Now Stephen King decides, you know what? I want to actually write another book.
I want to buy another house.
Write another book and do the Overlook again, and you could actually do the Overlook hotel spot like they did in the book. But I like that they did leave it open. It wasn't just this group. There were other groups out there. And Abra could potentially go hunting for them, or she could just live her life. But
at the same time, I'm less interested in more Shining people, and I'm more interested in more True Knots.
Yeah.
Exactly, which is why it expanded it by saying that. Like, now we know there are more out there. And that it's no longer about the Shining anymore. It's more about people who have the Shining, such as Abra and the True Knots. So if they wanted to expand it, they could. And like I said, with Danny, like I said, I mean, I think even if with the people showing up there, there's no way Danny would have survived. There's no way they would have been able to take care of his injury before he bled out. So I think him doing, going down to the boiler room and making sure he died and making sure that no one messed with the boiler so the hotel would go down, I think worked. I don't think he necessarily had to do the whole, like, to Wendy, because obviously Wendy didn't die in the hotel, so why would Wendy be there, kind of thing. But yeah, no, like I said, I mean, overall, I mean, like, I guess we've kind of touched on everything. Unless you guys have anything else?
No, I think we covered it for me.
Like I said, I mean, I guess we're going to final thoughts, but yeah, I think we got everything.
Kirk, overall thoughts?
Yeah, like I said, I loved it. There were those last few moments at the end that kind of sucked me out of it, and made it a less than perfect movie for me. But other than that, the first two acts were brilliant. Like I said, they connected. to the old movie while being its own thing. And yeah, I really loved it.
And what'd you give for a score?
I gave it 8 out of 10, and again, it's because those few little I don't even call them nitpicks. I mean, I think they were serious problems with the movie, but I mean, it wasn't enough to ruin it for me. But again, it did just drag the score down a little bit.
Okay. Brian, overall thoughts and score?
Overall thoughts I kind of covered in the beginning, but loved the movie. Enjoyed it way more than I thought I was going to. And Rebecca Ferguson, easily the best part of the movie for me, and the whole True Knots. I've kind of expressed how I really enjoyed that part of the story the most. I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. I'm really stingy with my perfect 10s. Most movies I don't even give it that right away. I might start it lower and build it up. And this one might go up a little bit on later viewings too, but right now it's 8.5, which is still a great score.
Which I'm not stingy with my scores. If I really love a movie, I'm going to give it the score that I think it deserves. And like I said, with the little nitpick, to me they were nitpicks. There were things where it's like, yes, we didn't like them, but could we have come up with a potential better way to do it than what the director did? And on some we could have, but it was one of those things where it's like even our ways probably wouldn't have made it work. And so at that point, he just kind of got stuck in a corner, and he just had to deal with what he got. And I thought Michael Flanagan did a great job with it. Like I said, the cast is fantastic. The story is great. The scenes were great. The music, everything about it was great. Taking the little nitpicks aside, I gave it a 9.2 out of 10. Currently in my top 10 for 2019. Will it stay there? I don't know. There's still a lot of good movies still to come out. But Dr. Sleep was definitely one of the most surprising films of the year. It was definitely a film that I went into with middle to low expectations and was blown away with what I saw. And so, yeah, that's why I got my score. But yeah, I think that about covers it for us. We wanted to keep it around an hour, and we doubled that because that's the thing is when you get people like us who really like to dissect a film, talk about film, it's going to be long. So I hope
we have 3 people this time. So. Yeah.
Exactly. If that wasn't just you and me or me and Jay. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like button. If you guys feel like this review is worth sharing, go ahead and hit that share button. But most importantly, don't forget that subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on Sean's Movie Crusades. We're going to keep doing these. I think we all like doing this. We all like talking about movies, whether it be new ones that just came out or us talking about films that have been out for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. This is something that's not going away. Expect to see these two faces a lot more, as well as Jay and Mark and everyone else. It's I have fun doing these talks. It's definitely a lot more fun talking about the movie with someone than just me talking about it by myself. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys watched the whole thing. And if you guys have not seen Dr. Sleep, don't watch this video yet because
you probably put that at the beginning.
Yeah.
You want like the first 5-10 minutes, but after that, we completely ruined it. Brian, where can the people find you?
You can find me. I'm doing all my movie stuff over on Letterboxd, reviews, lists, all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, on YouTube on Multiplex Entertainment, I'm one of the showrunners of Multiplex Movie Warzone. If you like movie trivia, I show up in some of the debates and things once in a while there. That's about it.
Kirk?
Yeah, Letterboxd Kirk Kowal. That's the best place to talk about stuff with it like this with me. All of the Facebook, the trivia community, movie trivia community. Track me down there if you're looking for me.
Jurassic Sharks for the win.
Yep.
And of course, you guys know you can follow me on all the social media outlets you see below, or look me up on Facebook. I think all 3 of us love talking about movies. So if you guys leave your comments, tell us what you thought of Dr. Sleep. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What parts did you like? What parts didn't you like? What did you think about certain parts of it? Feel free to leave comments on the video or on the page of any of those pages, or hit us up directly because we would love to keep talking about this movie. Coming up next week, or this upcoming week because it's Sunday night, we got Frozen 2. We've got Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, which I know Brian has zero interest in seeing for some weird reason. And then starting on Wednesday, November 20th, the Movie Crusaders ride through the Star Wars galaxy, as we are going on a 9 or 10 episode series, as we are going to be going over each episodic film leading up to basically the release of Rise of Skywalker. Each episode will be going over every episode of Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, which we all cannot wait for Kirk on the Jedi. It's going to be great with him versus Jay Burns. But yeah, starting I almost made it.
Came close.
Oh, dang it. Starting on November 20th, and then we will be releasing an episode of those every Monday and Wednesday leading up to Rise of the Skywalker. We'll also be doing a predictions episode where we're going to talk about Rise of the Skywalker and what we think may or may not happen. Then obviously you'll have my non-spoiler review right after the movie, and then we'll do a spoiler review, and then we will also do a rankings of the Star Wars episodic films. So be on the lookout for that. We got a lot of videos coming up. And then, of course, after we're done with the Star Wars, the next series, The Trial of Kirk Kolakowski, as Kirk goes over his top 100 movies where we will all judge and yell and berate his list. It's been very fun filming that. And I know Kirk can't wait to get judged by everybody. Brian wasn't a part of that series.
I'm used to it.
Brian can't wait to watch it. All I'm gonna say is the second episode, the top 90 through 81. Yeah, don't watch it with kids around because it's a very
don't watch any of it with kids around. Let's be real.
Yeah, exactly. Jay is not very PG, no, but yes. So we got we got more reviews coming down the pipe. We got the Star Wars stuff coming, and then of course the trial of Kirk Kolakowski, his top 100 films. So be on the lookout for all those. And until next time, in case we don't see you here at Movie Crusaders, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.